Hello and welcome to another episode of AhHa Moments. I am glad to be joined today by my two partners here, Hans and Kevin. It's been a minute since we've been on the air. It's actually a lot of things have happened since the last time we did this.
It's been busy.
We're not very good at getting these scheduled.
No, we're not.
So, I mean, since we last recorded, right, we had a presidential candidate almost assassinated.
Oh.
Presidential candidate drop out of the race.
Yes.
And you had a baby.
I did have a new addition, a little girl join the family. So if I'm looking well rested on this episode, that camera must have a great filter.
Okay. Well, and speaking of birthdays, Alban, you had a birthday as well.
I'm a year older.
Happy
since
birthday.
Last time we're on this. Thank you very much. Kevin also named his daughter in the most amazing way, which is he took votes from all
Took votes.
all of our friends.
We took a poll. That's right.
And it took, 48 hours until they forced you to pick a name?
Before they kicked us out of the hospital, Social Security wanted a name, so we had to pick
I
one.
wonder what they need that for.
Did they hand you a piece of paper as a Social Security card again, or are they doing that digitally now?
No, it's still a piece of paper that they
paper.
tell you can't laminate, but if you lose this, your life's over.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's
Wonderful.
great.
Digital
great.
transformation is working very, very well these days. Oh, don't forget about the Olympics.
Well, it's going on right now, which
Yeah.
is exciting. I love the Olympics so much.
I do too.
I really do.
America's been crushing it.
Like, we get so patriotic. We root for everything. We're watching archery. We're watching equestrian. We're watching
Gymnastics.
Women's gymnastics just won.
Amazing.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Oh, America's at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Of course, number of medals at the top. I do have one little gripe, though.
What
You have a great.
You have a
Well,
great-
on the Olympics.
on the Olympics?
You don't like rooting for laundry?
I think it's a wonderful event, brings the world together, it gets everyone excited. But on the leaderboard, right, I think it's a bit disingenuous that on the same leaderboard, America is ranked the same as Ethiopia or some of these smaller countries with less resources.
Well, they're not ranked the same. We're always higher.
Well, I think we should show medal count per capita.
Per
right? I think
capita.
we should divide
Oh.
it by number of people. I think it levels the playing field, and we'd all be rooting for the same
Maybe
thing.
per GDP too.
Or per GDP,
That
right?
might even make it
Number
more
of
fair with the
resources.
resources.
You know, given
yeah.
that we are the number one podcast in Kosovo, I bet that would go over very well. I believe they won in a medal in judo.
They
already.
did win a medal, and so they'd probably be high ranking on that
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
Not medals, just metal. So this episode is titled "Buy Your Boss Lunch."
Oh,
And
this sounds very self-serving. I'm not going to lie.
you know what? Sometimes some things are not just about everyone else. No, this episode's title is this because I think it was the three of us. We went to lunch with someone who works with us,
Yeah.
and this is not just about that lunch, but it was the aura of what started this conversation, which was we went to lunch, and sure enough, this individual works with us named Jason.
Love Jason. Worked
Great
with us
guy.
at a couple different companies now.
A couple different companies. He pulls out his credit card to pay for lunch and starts fighting with us for paying, which, you know, it doesn't always happen because, well, everyone just assumes that the boss picks up the lunch.
Yep.
And it was an interesting thing because it was not about the money.
Right.
It
Right.
was more about the act.
The act.
And it was like, when we were talking about this, I'm like, I think this is a good episode to talk about a couple things. First, the idea of getting to know people, especially your bosses or peers even, right, in a level that's human. Second, actually showing up to have lunch,
Sure.
which hard to do if you're working from home sometimes. And not only that, but just that I think, and I'm going to guess here, but a lot of people I'm sure run around that, whether they own companies or bosses, where it's not often that people shock you on the other way. They're like, what can I do for you? Not the other way around.
Right. Right.
And I was kind of curious as we were talking about this, what you guys think about that and I know our business is built on some of this DNA
Right.
of what can we do for others, but isn't it crazy that that day was wild, right? Like all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, what? No, I'm going to pay for lunch.
You can really stand out by doing something shocking, right?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it's not the money, it was the act itself. It was unexpected.
And it was a genuine.
And it was genuine, and there was gratefulness in it. And I think we talk about building a company based on really complex things, right? We're doing a lot in generative AI and machine learning and engineering, and those things are very complex and tough to understand. And I think one of the things that we do really well is we help our clients simplify that and make
Yep.
it really easy for them. And in ways, they're our bosses, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a human connection on the other side of it that's really, really important that I think some people forget.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about everything you talk about we do is, right, you mentioned all the technical things, right? The AI, computer engineering, but the heart of it, it's people, right? At the end of the day, how do you make people feel? is what we do.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that gets lost in the professional setting because you forget that you have kids. You have kids. You wake up every day just like everybody else does, and you have the same issues as Bill Gates might have, or Elon Musk, or anybody else who runs companies or is a manager, or anybody in life. We tend to lose the human factor, I think, in the workplace sometimes. And I think this idea of getting to know people on the human side is actually gets lost way too often.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this from the sense of AI, right? Has been getting this crazy valuations in the public markets. All of a sudden, it's maybe a little bit more of a hype than anything else, because at the end of the day, you remember we're still humans, and AI isn't going to replace everybody.
No.
At least not anytime soon.
No.
And I was like, okay. All of a sudden, the market figured it out within 6 months, and all the valuations are dropping. Like, oh, this idea of humans are humans is real.
Yeah. I mean, I think about even the ethos of us starting this organization was all around how do we make the impact of our human interactions better?
Yep.
And we wanted to use technology, right? We're all technologists at heart.
Absolutely.
We think that digital transformation or big data or data monetization, engineering, app development, these are things, again, that scare normal people, and we need to make humans understand we're just trying to make their interactions better, right? Everybody uses their Starbucks app. Everybody uses Amazon. They have experiences that make them real happy, right? Even with, I think Airbnb does their little like experiences of delight. That's trying to get you as a human to want to use their app more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even when we think to our clients, right? We're helping our clients do their job better. Or as now we talked about, I just had a kid. How do I help get home to my family a little bit quicker, right?
Yeah.
Or help my client get promoted faster or get on stage, right? It's all about helping our people.
The part that has always irked, I'll say me and us, because I know I can drag you guys in this, is when people think of sales or pushing business development, they think of it, and it does get a negative connotation sometimes around like, hey, it's just salespeople trying to sell you something, they're done. We, as an organization, get encouraged, and not encouraged, but our DNA is get to know our clients on the human level, because it's not about closing the deal, while that's extremely important. It's actually about how do we deliver on them so we get to know them on their personal level and make them look good in the world because they took a risk on working with us. And we do have to remember that they have families, and they might have pets, and they care about certain things, and they also have aspirations. And so we don't treat them as a transaction. We actually treat them like a partner and some like human level on the other side.
Right. I think, any of us that have read, leadership books, they talk about servant leadership. And this session that we're having right now is talking about buying your boss lunch. But I think we would all agree that we also look out for our employees and their human needs.
100%. Yeah.
And you need to remember that everybody's the star in their own movie, right? So if we can get better understanding what makes people tick and what motivates them, we might be able to get more out of them than we expected. And I think you had mentioned reading a book for, I don't know, third or fourth time. You want to talk about this again?
No, it's Adam Grant's Give or Take. And it's one of these things where, and I tend to drive more of like out of irritation sometimes, like Kevin, where you look at all the positive side, but there's this book called Give or Take. I highly recommend reading it. It's incredible. But the idea is when it comes to our professional careers, and they have it in three types of people, which is givers, takers, and neutralizers, which is people that matchers that just match the energy. But here's the idea. There's people apparently in the professional world, I think we've seen them, all these types, that are out there trying to take from others, right? Whether it's credit, whether it's whatever it may be, they're taking from other people. Then there's people who are givers. In fact, sometimes to a self-sacrificial level. And then there's matchers. Turns out, you guys won't be shocked, takers, short-term, tend to outperform all the other personality types.
Short-term.
Okay.
Long-term, givers outperform by miles every other group. And it's not, and I'll go back to this idea of Jason buying us lunch. It's not because it's a skill set thing. It's not because it's a grit thing. It's actually just the personality, because we're not wired as humans to want to work with people that constantly want to take from us, or to even be around. That doesn't just apply professionally. This also applies personally, right?
Sure. Yep.
You have those friends who every time they call, they might need something, or a family member, or a professional relationship. And it's like, do you really want to take that call?
Right.
Well, even think about it, forget business, talk about energy, right? You have friends that give energy, and you have friends that take energy from you. Which ones are more fun to hang out with?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think in this spirit, I actually thought it'd be worth sharing Jason's story, which was interesting on the whole give or take relationship, right? Because we worked with Jason.
Yeah, at a previous job.
Yep.
And he had moved with that job to LA.
Yep.
So he no longer worked with us.
He no longer worked with us. And then we start this company, and it was amazing. Jason and Hans had this incredible relationship, professional relationship, previous life. And all of a sudden, Hans calls Jason and goes, hey, we're working on this thing.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be a really good opportunity for you. And one of the biggest tests of givers or takers is, do they answer?
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
And how did Jason answer the call?
Yeah, it was great. I'll even go a little further back. We were actually meeting with his sister, who we also worked with.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
And we weren't even trying to sell her anything. We were being takers in this moment.
Yep.
We said, we need really good people, and we couldn't hire from our old firm.
Yeah.
So we need really good people. And she's like, what kind of people do you need? And we mentioned her brother.
Yep.
And she said, well, you should reach out to him. I think he'd be interested. I'm like, why would he want to move from LA to Chicago?
Across the country.
So I just texted him. I'm like, hey, quit your job, move to Chicago, come work for us.
And he quit his
said,
job
okay,
and moved to Chicago immediately.
Yeah.
and that's not because you had a relationship of taking. It was because the idea was I think we've tried to live in this world where we're always trying to be conscientious of other people's desires and wants, and how do we match or give to them? Because in return, it always tends to work out. You don't do it for that reason, by the way. That's the whole key. You do it out of the kindness, but it does tend to surround you with really good people.
There's this whole concept of the favor economy that we've talked about extensively throughout building this. And again, it's been written about, so I won't belabor it. But the whole thing is that human beings are reciprocal creatures at heart. So if I'm to do 3 things really nice for you, Kevin, and never ask for anything in return, and you like me as a person, you want to hang out, you're going to start to feel guilty. And you'll be like, what can I do for Hans at this moment?
Yes.
Right?
How can I help you?
Yeah. Right. So how can we kind of instill that within our everyday lives? Well, you need to connect with people at a human level. You need to understand what makes them tick. And then you need to try to do something better for them without anything in return, right? So when we talk about, and you mentioned it, right? How do we get clients promoted? How do we get them on stage? How do we get them to retire? How do we, enable growth for our employees? How do we allow them to have new opportunities, move to new cities, make more pay, right? Do better for their families. Those are the things that we keep at the top of our mind all the time.
No doubt. Is that why the firm, I had a caller, a listener, believe it or not, reach out not too long ago.
Really? We have listeners. It had to be a while ago because our last podcast came out in like 2023.
That's right. It's been sitting in my inbox. They said, hey, on the first episode, you guys promised why you talk about why you called the firm Inspire 11.
Okay.
Oh,
this is a good
question. That's a good question.
Why is it named Inspire 11, Hans?
Naming the firm Inspire 11. Well, there's many different factors that go into it. First of all, when we started the company in 2016, it's hard to name a company.
Very hard. It's actually one of the hardest things you can do.
And one of the reasons for that is you need to get the URL.
Yeah.
I think, so I'd be lying to say if that didn't come into play.
It's like you write a name on the board and then you go look on GoDaddy.
Yeah.
Write another
.com. Maybe the .net's available.
But it was pretty cool. We actually, we looked at kind of multiple aspects. There was colors we liked. There was themes we liked. We liked progressive type things and innovative type things. We liked aspirational type words like inspire, like Everest, like aspire, right? And one of our first employees really liked the number 11 in general. And it's really interesting when you do some research in anything that you do, people either love or hate the name, the number, whatever it might be. And for whatever reason, the number 11 is universally beloved. But the reason that we liked it was all because of Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
Going beyond 10. Like doing something more than people expect.
It goes to 11. It goes to 11. Maybe we can do a little splice of David's podcast. It goes to 11, just so it reminds everybody of.
That would be really nice.
Yeah,
I hear that they might be coming out with a Spinal Tap too.
David, is that possible? I think he's going to say
David
yes.
on production's
Okay,
going thumbs up. I love it.
Thank you, David.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it? You're on 10 on your guitar. Where can you go from there? Where?
I don't know.
Nowhere, exactly.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
No, it's a good question. And I think when we think about, again, back to the company aspect of 11, is constantly going above and beyond, constantly pushing the boundaries, but never forgetting the human side of everything that we do. In fact, I actually just thought of this as you were talking about this. We had and you guys know him well, a mentor of mine who had reached out at some point after we started doing, the business was growing. He's like, you guys now are in the business of not changing your lives, but changing other people's lives for the good, right? Because this whole concept of if you do favors for others, they do it for others, they do it for others. And that's a better world than as opposed to what can I take? What can I take? What can I take? Yeah. I saw this quote. You guys know I'm a big fan of Jamie Dimon. He was talking about when you work with different leaders, he goes, there's people that will come to your energy point. There's people that will come into your office and they'll say, hey, what's our strategy? What are we doing about this? What are we doing about this? What they're actually doing is trying to take something, right? And he's like, well, I already laid out the strategy. If you would have read the annual report, we're investing in digital tools. We're trying to provide the greatest customer experience, blah, blah. And he goes, and there are people that walk in your office and are like, I know we're working on this stuff. How can I help you? Right?
Yeah.
Have you had these experiences?
Yeah. And I'll even take it a step further. One mentor of mine told me that the worst question you can ask somebody is, how can I help? Without anything before it. So you mentioned the right thing is, I see we're doing this.
That's right.
This is where I think I can lock in. How can I help? As opposed to if I just say, how can I help?
Yeah.
There's a couple different things that means. That one, you don't understand.
Yep.
It's like saying, I don't understand the strategy. Two, it's like, I have to give you something so that you feel good about what it is you're doing.
Yes, right.
Or at best, like I'm just confirming that what you already know. And so I think the most important thing you can do is really understand, again, that human interaction. What makes the organization tick? What makes the human tick?
Yep.
And then what is it that I can do that can make you slightly, or maybe even better, like impactfully better, right?
Yep.
That's
and
right.
that's hard to do, and it's hard to put yourself out there because people, especially in kind of the social media age and everything else, don't want to show the work that needs to be put in, or maybe the ugliness of trying to figure things out or making a mistake. And really, that's when real growth happens.
Yep.
What are some tips, Kevin, you have for people that are looking to like be in that giver state, right? Like how have you seen it manifest itself in a really meaningful way for you?
Geez, I think what you were just talking about, right? I just had someone knock on my office door today and say, hey, I know you're working on X, right? How can I lean in and help? I have a little bit extra time. It tends to be the busiest people in the the that are the ones that still show up to do that, which is fun.
Yeah.
They're saying, I'm passionate about what we're doing. How do I lean in and help? Which is great. How about you?
I think, the part that also comes to mind in all of this is, to your point, the busiest people tend to somehow always want to be like, how can I help? But not just how can I help? How can I help on X? The other thing I try to remind people, and I appreciate this about people so much, is whether it's our clients, whether it's your bosses, whether it's whoever you're working with, and it does not have to be higher ups or not, people are constantly very busy working on 1,000 things, specifically in the business world. Keep things simple. Keep things like, understand that there is 1,000 things in your world. There's 1,000 in yours, 1,000 in mine, 1,000 every single person here. Trying to add more will not work out in our favor, right? The part is, how can I help you? How can you help me? And how do we all approach that thing? The idea of intent, right? Like the intent of helping one another, the intent of how do we move forward? Because I think sometimes the reason takers happen is because people believe it's a zero-sum game. And at companies, unless you're at the wrong company, it's not a zero-sum game. We can all win. Like the whole idea is that like the tide raises all ships. We don't have to just take. We don't have to take credit. We can all actually win if we are just tied together.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Alban, because you mentioned it before. Givers tend to win in the long run, takers win in the short run, but givers can also be taken advantage of.
Yep.
And I think Kevin would agree that you're one of the most giving people we know.
Yes.
And yet,
Was kind.
right, but you don't get stomped on, right? So what are some of the tips you have for those givers to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of, but they actually can win in the long run?
I think it's a good question. I think having boundaries and knowing when you're running into that personality over and over, you can be nice, but you do not have to comply, right? There is a point where you just draw a boundary. It's like, hey, I think I have this covered. I'm good to go. Or there's nothing wrong with denying whatever request is being made of you to takers. I think we make a mistake sometimes too many times where people, they talk about this in the book, and I'm glad you brought this up, is people get burnt out because we cannot have heroes every single day that do every single thing, because eventually even heroes can get tired.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, really.
We need everybody to step in. So heroes tend to be givers.
Right, yeah.
They tend to be the people that take on the most burden of everybody else.
That's right.
And if you have a company with 10 heroes and 90 not heroes, that's not going to work out great long term.
Right, yeah. In fact, there's something important to note, that you can be a taker, a matcher, or a giver. It's not like you're one of all. You can be all three at different points in time. I think what's really interesting is I had a really good relationship with my last boss before starting this company, and people would come to me all the time, and they're like, I don't understand why this person likes you so much. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, honestly, 9 times out of 10, when I go into his office, I'm complimenting one of you out there and just telling him what a great job our firm is doing or somebody else is. I'm like, I'm not bragging about myself. I'm not coming to this person with problems. I'm coming to them with all the great things that are happening out there. And then the 1 out of 10 times when I really need him to help solve a problem or help me with an issue, he knows I'm not trying to take advantage of that situation, right? And again, it's one of those things like through experience, you realize that really helps you stand out.
Yeah.
Well, it must be so refreshing. Think about leaders or clients, or all day long, right? 9 out of 10 times, it's problems at your door,
Exact
right?
opposite.
Help me with.
Yeah.
How refreshing if it's, hey, I just want to let you know your team's doing a great job today.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely.
The part that I think you both do really well is, and I'm actually not always good at this because I think primarily because of my ADDness and craziness in my brain, is you guys also find the best in every single person. Like you find the goodness in all of it, where I think sometimes, and we've talked about this in the past too, you can be in a room. There are rock stars that are very introverted.
Oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Bringing a voice to that group,
that's
extremely important. You guys genuinely like do it the best of it. And then there are people that are very loud, maybe sometimes takers, that tend to dominate rooms. And it's like, how do we give the room and space to every personality, especially the ones who are heroes, almost sometimes silent heroes, right? That's because their personality is not one to stand out in a room of this size and say, hey, I did all of this. I deserve all the credit.
Yeah. It's great.
It's amazing. All right, quick question here for you guys. This just came off the top of my head, so we're gonna go. What topic do you think we should do next here,
Kevin?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, Hans. What are you thinking?
Nice. Way to defer.
I thought you were gonna say cruise ships.
Big fan of cruise ships. We can go on a good 40-minute journey on that together.
We're not talking about cruise ships. I got to tell you what, from listener feedback.
Yeah.
Again, mostly my family. I think they just like our interactions. I think we are really bringing you behind the curtains, maybe in a more PG fashion. But I think they like just our relationship and how we riff. I think the more that we can focus on the things that are really driving businesses forward, or how you can be better at your job, or how you can be a better individual within your community, I think those are the topics that really work out well. We've been blessed to have a lot of learnings in our career from some great executive coaching, and we sometimes take it for granted because we went through that coaching. Yeah. So the more maybe we can share our personal experiences and how we've seen it benefit us, maybe we'll keep the 20 or so listeners that we have.
I like that a lot. We also promised early on that we'd have some special guests, and I think
no, they don't start out special.
We wouldn't be
just guests.
Who we are without the team that's around us. So I think we should also bring some of those folks with us next time as well.
I agree with you. I think we're due for a guest.
Yes.
I think the next episode we got a guest, maybe in the same setting. Maybe we do it somewhere else. I don't know, but
I love it.
Yeah, it'll be good.
For those of you that have ideas and actually have one of our emails, feel free to send it our way.
That's right.
Otherwise, I think we have some ideas.
Yes.
And we'll bring people from inside and outside our organization that I think will be a lot of fun, and will bring a ton of insight to these conversations.
Well, I'm excited. Sorry for our delay here on the episode. It's great to be here with you guys. Let's go have some fun until the next one, and hopefully we'll have a great guest and a good topic.
Love it. Hey, congrats on the kid again, Kev.
Congratulations.
You're crushing
Kevin.
Life.
Very kind. Thank you both.
And go US at the Olympics.
Go US and every other country. Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining us. Have a good one.